In the last episode, we explored the different seasons of the wilderness, the moments of growth, hardship, transition, and stillness that shape us along the way. But recognizing the season we're in is only the beginning. Now, we face the real challenge, navigating through it. Because the wilderness isn't just something we pass through, it's something we must learn to walk through with intention. And that's where we pick up today. How do you find your way through a place that feels so uncertain, so vast, so overwhelming? The first thing I've learned about navigating the wilderness is that it's not about having all the answers. It's about taking one step at a time. In a wilderness, the path isn't always clear. Sometimes you can only see a few feet ahead, and that's okay. Each small step you take brings you closer to clarity, closer to understanding. But let's be real, taking that first step isn't easy. Often we're paralyzed by fear of making the wrong choice, fear of failure, fear of stepping into the unknown. It's like standing at a crossroads, unable to move because every direction feels risky. And yet, the wilderness teaches us something profound. The only way out is through. This is where discernment comes in, choosing your path, not based on what's easiest or most comfortable, but based on what aligns with your purpose, your values, and your growth. The well-worn path may look safe, but sometimes it leads to stagnation. The overgrown path, though intimidating, is often the one that forces us to grow. Many of us develop coping strategies over time, ways to handle the stress, the uncertainty, and the fear that come with being in the wilderness. Some of these strategies are healthy and promote growth, like seeking support from loved ones, engaging in regular self-reflection, or finding solace in spirituality. These practices help us process our experiences and prepare us to move forward. However, not all strategies are beneficial. In the struggle to find comfort, it's easy to fall into less healthy patterns. Some may turn to excessive work, numbing themselves with busyness to avoid facing the emotional reality of their situation. Others might find temporary escape in other addiction patterns, anything to fill the silence that the wilderness can bring. Navigating your wilderness effectively means being willing to address some hard truths about yourself. It involves identifying and challenging the beliefs that hold you back. Perhaps you believe you're not capable of change, or that you don't deserve happiness. These beliefs are the underbrush in your wilderness, tangling your path and obscuring your way forward. Breaking their hold isn't about cutting through them with brute force. It's about understanding why they're there in the first place. What purpose do they serve? Are they protecting you from a fear of failure, or perhaps the pain of past disappointments? Once you understand them, you can begin to dismantle them gently and thoughtfully. Each of us has tools we can use to guide us. These tools are your compass, your map, your guideposts. But even the best tools won't show you the entire journey. They'll just help you take the next right step. In my own life, I've realized that navigating the wilderness isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about learning from them. Every thorny vine you encounter, every steep hill you climb, every wrong turn you make, it's all part of the process. These obstacles teach us resilience. They teach us patience. They teach us to trust in our ability to adapt and persevere. The challenge is that the wilderness has a way of magnifying our internal struggles. It brings our fears, doubts, and insecurities to the surface. And sometimes it's easier to stay stuck than to face those parts of ourselves. That's why navigating the wilderness requires more than just tools and direction. It requires courage. Courage to confront the parts of ourselves that we'd rather avoid. Courage to embrace the discomfort of growth. Courage to keep going, even when the path is unclear. You might not always know where the path is taking you. You might take detours. You might get lost along the way. But every step you take, every lesson you learn, is bringing you closer to the person you're meant to become. So as you navigate your wilderness, remember, You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step. Trust that the wilderness, as challenging as it may be, is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. The journey is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about moving forward, one step at a time, with faith, courage, and an open heart. In my life, there have been seasons where it felt like everything was falling apart. I have been weighed down by my own expectations and the unspoken expectations I believed others to have of me. Interpretations shaped by their actions, silences, and my own fears of disappointing them or not living up to the life I thought they envisioned for me. I have searched for a clear path, for some kind of roadmap that would tell me how to move forward. But all I have found are more questions, more uncertainty. I recently came across a journal that I had written in over a decade ago. I flipped through its pages, and one entry in particular stopped me in my tracks. It described everything I was feeling at that moment, every struggle, every hope for change. And then, like a wave crashing over me, it hit me. Everything I had written back then could have been written today. Nothing had changed. Over 10 years later, I was still facing the same struggles, cycling through the same behaviors, and stuck in the same place. I felt like a complete failure. How could a whole decade pass, and I still hadn't grown in that area of my life? Year after year, I made the same plans to change, to move forward, to break free, and yet the needle hadn't moved. It might have fluctuated here and there, but ultimately, I was still in the same spot. That moment was devastating, but it was also a wake-up call. I realized something needed to change, something drastically different than the ways I had tried before. I started asking myself hard questions. What is holding me back? Why do I keep repeating these same patterns? And most importantly, how do I move forward in a way that will actually make a difference? It's not an easy thing to admit that you're stuck. It's painful to confront the reality that your actions, or inactions, have kept you in the same place. But I've come to understand that this space of struggle and uncertainty isn't just a place we wander through aimlessly. It's a mirror. It reflects back to us the fears we haven't confronted, the doubts we've ignored, and the changes we've avoided. That realization didn't change things overnight, but it gave me permission to start seeing the wilderness differently, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. I began to ask myself what this particular season of my life was trying to reveal about me, my fears, my doubts, my need for control. What I've come to realize is that our journeys may feel personal, but they are not all that unique. Many of us walk the same path. Each of us has a wilderness story, a moment when we come face to face with the reality of our lives and recognize the changes we need to make. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. The wilderness isn't something we need to escape. It's something we need to engage with, to learn from, and to grow through. Think about your own wilderness. What story are you living out right now? What comforts might you be reaching for that only lead you deeper into the woods? And what tools might help you chart a course towards understanding and growth? The stories of the wilderness are not stories of perfection. They're stories of perseverance. They're stories of falling down and getting back up, of wandering and finding our way, of breaking down and breaking through. What's powerful about our collective stories is that they remind us we're not alone. No matter how isolated your wilderness feels, someone else has walked a similar path. And when we share our stories, our struggles, and our victories, we create a map for others to follow. So what's your wilderness story? What have you learned from the moments when you felt lost or uncertain? And more importantly, how can your story inspire and guide someone else? The wilderness may be challenging, but it's also where we find our strength, our resilience, our becoming. And when we share those stories, we not only honor our own journey, we create a space for others to find hope, courage, and connection in theirs. The wilderness, the this vast, uncharted space where we confront our fears, embrace our challenges, and discover who we truly are. It's not just a place we pass through. It's a place that shapes us, that prepares us for what lies ahead. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that our wilderness experiences aren't meant to be rushed. It's not about how quickly we can find the exit or how fast we can get to the next chapter of our lives. It's about who we become while we're here, in this place of uncertainty, growth, and transformation. Every step we take, whether it feels like progress or not, matters. Every challenge we face teaches us something about ourselves. Every moment we spend in the wilderness is an opportunity to grow, to shed what no longer serves us, and to step into the person we're meant to be. Unfortunately, the wilderness isn't always easy. In many cases, the wilderness can be an arduous trek through uncharted and treacherous terrain. It tests us, it pushes us, and sometimes it feels like it might break us. But it's also where we find our resilience, our strength, and our clarity. It's where we learn to trust the process, even when the path ahead isn't clear. So as you navigate your own wilderness, I want you to remember, you are not alone. Every single one of us is walking a path through our own wilderness, facing our own struggles, and learning our own lessons. And together, we can share those lessons, those stories, and those moments of hope that remind us why the journey is worth it. Take a moment today to reflect on where you are in your wilderness. What have you learned? What are you still learning? And how can you honor this season of your life, even if it's challenging? The wilderness may feel vast and overwhelming, but it's also full of beauty, of possibility, and of becoming. It's where we find not just who we are, but who we are meant to be. So, as you take your next step, remember this: the wilderness isn't the end. It's where your journey begins.